What's going on, world? DS1 Ross. I'm back. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody who support SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV. I appreciate all the love and the support. Tonight, got another interview for y'all. It should be a good interview, a great interview. I'm going to chop it up tonight here on SHEEPSTAYSLEEPTV with the brother Javen Bullets. Just waiting for the brother to come through. I appreciate all the love and support here. All my mods, do me a favor, copy that link that I posted in the chat and share it amongst the people. I appreciate that, mods. So how's everybody day going? We just chop it up with y'all till a brother Javen come through. Peace to my brother Rob. What's going on, bro? Peace to Chef JT. Y'all go check out the Underrated Sports Show hosted by me and my brother, Chef JT. Y'all go check that out. We did a recap of the games that happened this weekend. So y'all go check that out on the Underrated Darkness. He also did another live stream earlier about the passing of Nelson Mandela's wife. So y'all go check that out. Shout out to Reign Supreme. What's going on, Reign? Shout out to my brother Doug. Shout out to my sister Black Beauty. Howdy. Peace to everybody else that's watching. What's up, man? Yeah, Daddy doing the show. It's good. You okay? No, Daddy's doing the show. You can't disturb me while I'm doing the show. So you're gonna have to watch TV in the living room. All right? Hmm? You ate your pizza? You ate it? All right, cool. But yeah, go check those streams out on the Underrated Darkness channel. I like the sports show we've been doing. It's cool. You know, sometimes it's cool to you know, chop it up about other topics. You know, besides all the quote unquote conscious or all the real stuff that's going on in the world. You know, I will be back this Friday with the Freaky Friday show. I will be back with that. So y'all stay tuned for that too. I think we got the man of the hour here. I see we do. So without further ado, shout out to my brother Javen Bullets. He's here, family.
Peace.
And,
Peace. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clear, bro. You loud and clear.
All right, my fault. Cause I had to put something on for my kids real quick. My fault.
No doubt, bro. You gotta do your thing, bro.
Yeah, you might have to give me like at least like 2 more minutes real quick. Cause I just wanted to click on and let you know I'm here. I ain't forget about you. Just like 2 more minutes.
Got you. But yeah, we will be back this week with the Freaky Friday show. You know, y'all tune in. We will be back. And just remember, y'all, the Freaky Friday show, it's a fun, entertaining show. Anybody could join a panel. You know, it's never any people that's holding down any spots or whatever. So if you comfortable, you know, we're talking about sex and adult things, you could just jump on a panel and you'll be heard, you know. I just wanted to come up and do something fun and interactive with the people, and I don't think none of us should be afraid to talk about sex, you know. So definitely stay tuned for that. Definitely gonna keep it going with that, you know. So how's everybody day today, man? What's going on? I know some of y'all first day back at work. I know you happy, brother Rob. This spring break, you know what I'm saying? I know you happy, bro. You get to chill for a minute. Shout out to Ty Brown. Appreciate the love. Solomon Mom Evans. Peace. Welcome to Sleep TV. Yeah, this gonna be a good interview, y'all. Oh, damn. Your spring break was last week, bro? Oh, man. So you was working today, huh? Oh, well, my boys, they started their spring break this Friday that just passed, so they don't go back till, you know, um, this Monday coming up.
Peace. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I want to say I'm sorry about that, family. Peace to everybody in the chat room. I got to do this on my cell phone. So, peace, y'all. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here, bro. I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here.
yeah.
Um,
I can't see the chat too. So if somebody has a question or anything like that, you'll have to let me know because I can't see the chat from my cell phone.
okay, I got you. I got you. Well, after the interview, family, I'll give y'all a chance to ask Haven any questions, but I definitely want to conduct this interview first. So after I finish the interview, I'll give y'all a chance to ask Haven any questions. You know, I know Haven's a popular guy, so I know a lot of y'all got a lot of questions. So y'all will get y'all chance, fam. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, as always. So shout out to my man Haven. I appreciate the support, man, and let's get this interview on the road, bro.
All right, let's do that.
My first question to you, we're gonna start with a little current events. Um I watched the video that you did about the dude Stephon.
Yeah,
I think it was
Stephon Clark.
Yeah. Um do you really feel that us as black people should write that brother off because what he had to say about black women?
I feel like this that we should keep the pressure and our foots on the necks of the police and the racist system. Don't lose sight of that. But as far as trying to make him as like some type of martyr, like we did with Trayvon Martin, Philando Castile, Michael Brown, and all that, no, that's a little bit too far. People got to throw down the gun line sooner or later and let people know that cooning, you can't be expecting black people to rise to your rescue when you cooning. That's why we got so much cooning in the community to begin with. Because people know if they ever get in trouble, they could just run back to that same black community that they was attacking. People gotta let it be known sooner or later that that ain't cool. We gonna deal with this issue because this is an issue that affects all black people. The police didn't shoot you because you was a coon. They shot you because you was black. And they shot you in the back. They didn't even know if you was a female or a male. They didn't know you was rich or poor, educated or uneducated, criminal or not. They just saw you was a black man. They just saw you was a black person. They didn't know if you was old or young. They just saw a black person and they started dumping. So we definitely got to address this because this is bigger than him. But as far as making him some type of martyr and symbol, stuff like that, no. No.
Well, I agree with that. I definitely think we shouldn't do that. But how do you feel about people been pretty much writing him off and saying we shouldn't support the movement of him being wrongfully killed because of the things that he said about black women on social media?
Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. You can't write off the wrong of him being killed. You gotta stay with that because again, like I said, that killing ain't have nothing to do with what he said about black women. Remember, he was cooning on social media. He was running around screaming "All lives matter," disrespecting black women, and saluting the police and everything. But he still got smoked, and he didn't get smoked because of anything other than he was a black person. So that's why we gotta keep that. We gotta make sure we separate that. We're not necessarily seeking justice for his sake. This is a black issue because that could have been any black person. That ain't have nothing to do with him personally.
Man, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. I really don't agree with the stuff he was saying myself, but I definitely think, that definitely doesn't have anything with him, being killed. And I definitely think we definitely should support however we can support that movement. And with
Yeah,
that
and I
being,
feel, excuse me,
yeah, bro.
and I feel like the way we can support that movement is basically keeping our foot on the necks of the police department and the government in Sacramento and demanding justice and making sure we put this in its proper context that it ain't about him as an individual. This is about black people because this only happened because he was black. Because if that cop had saw a white person standing in a backyard and they ain't know who they were from a hole in the wall, they wouldn't have started dumping. Or anybody else. They did that because they just recognized that was a black person and they just started shooting them in the back. Couldn't even tell if he was a man or woman. Couldn't tell if he was holding anything, just shooting them in the back. So we got to separate that. As far as donating money to help bury him and for his family and all that, nah, that's a dub. Let his Chinese bitch gotta handle that because she got the bag anyway. Let her and her family handle that. But as far as demanding justice and putting this in its broader proper context of this is a further continuation of police just killing black people just because they feel like they can and they don't value black life, then you got to support that. But as far as him personally, especially like supporting his family and supporting like his baby mama or whatever, nah, that's a dub. Let her bury him. Like I heard she didn't even go to the funeral and she not marching with him. And she not marching for him. She got to handle that. Let her handle that. Let her get out there and put in some work.
Great point. Great point. Sound like she was just using him for his black dick.
She was. Like a lot of black men don't understand this, that a lot of times you in an interracial relationship, that woman don't care about you. She just using you for your black body. Just the same way the white man used the black body during slavery, the white woman and the other groups of women have now been liberated so they can do the same thing. They're using you for your body. It's called negrophilia. That's what it's called. Like when people fetishize the black body. It's not about the black individual. They don't care about you. She was just using you for that BBC. Now that you dead, you can't give that BBC no more. So she pushed you out her mind. She got 2 kids with you and everything. You don't even exist to her no more. She probably on to the next dick. Those probably wasn't even your kids. She probably was fucking multiple black dudes at a time, and she didn't know who she got pregnant by. Just told you, like, hey, I'm pregnant by you. She probably wobbling on another dick right now as we speak. She was just using you. She didn't give a fuck about you. All that racist shit she was saying about black women, black people, and all that, she meant that from the bottom of her heart. That's a lot. That's another thing. Black people, men and females, got to get that out their mind. Just because somebody's fucking you, don't mean that they give a shit about you or your people. If that situation don't prove anything else, it proved that. Just because somebody's fucking you, having kids with you, don't mean they give two shits about you. That's a lesson black people should have already knew from slavery, but it seems that we got to learn that lesson again.
Yep, definitely seems like that. And based on this incident, I have a question. You know, we have the within the last couple of years, we had the surgence of the Black Lives Matter movement. But aside from the movement, I notice when things like this happen to us, you know, it seems like black people really start to care about what's going on, and they start to care about black lives, period. So my question to you is, does black lives really matter to black people?
Black Lives Matter to black people. First of all, I don't respect the group Black Lives Matter, but the hashtag, which they didn't start, I respect that to the fullest. What that hashtag mean? But do black lives really matter to black people? In a way, I could say in the abstract, black people care about each other. But when it comes to reality and actually boots on the ground caring and actually putting that work in, a lot of black people just don't care, or they just they just apathetic to each other. Like they just really don't care. They don't, because like this brother gonna be buried, his family gonna get cashed out, and then everybody gonna go back to business as usual until the next black person get laid down. And that's not caring. If you cared, this was to change stuff. It's not changing anything because we know what's gonna happen. People gonna walk around, be seen, be angry. His family gonna get cashed out. They're gonna start cooning, and then it's gonna go, and everybody gonna go back to where they at in their life. So in a way, black life really don't matter because you see that you're in a dangerous position, and you see that any day of the week that could be you or your family or somebody you care about getting put in the dirt, but you're not trying to work to try to correct that situation. And the blacks who are trying to work to correct that situation are following behind people who just using this for clout and for money. So they spinning their wheels and they ain't getting nothing done neither. Because this police brutality issue could have been taken care of a long time ago, because the majority of black people get killed by police, get killed by local cops, and they get killed by local cops in black city, black towns. Why are white people coming from outside the town, outside the city, coming into the city, becoming all the police? Where are the black people to become the police in their own community? Where are the black people to say we're gonna put a black mayor from our community in a position of authority, and you're gonna hire a black police chief who's then gonna make it his business to do a black recruiting drive? Like we're gonna recruit officers from the community. This is something that I don't like to compare black people to other groups of people, but this is something that Mexicans have done in Los Angeles. And the police killing Mexicans, that shit is totally proportionate to their population. Like I forgot what they number it's actually less. And when the police kill Mexicans, it's actually more or less justifiable. Like I'd seen the LA Times did a whole article about this, like a whole piece about Mexicans getting killed by police. And one of the statistics that they had in the article really blew my mind. They said black males are 4% of LA County or LA City or whatever it was. But they 25% of the people get killed by police. And whatever the number was for Mexicans, it's like less than or it's proportionate. And that's because a lot of the police officers who patrol Mexican cities or the Mexican part of the town, they from that part and they know the people. They Mexican. They not out here trying to profile their own people. They not trying to hurt and harass their own people. And studies show that when you have more black cops on a police force, police brutality goes down, especially when those cops are from that neighborhood. Because the white cop, whatever, or whoever, is a lot more cautious in how they apply force. Because they know they got black people on that police department with them. So if you really care about these issues, when is the organization that say we're gonna help create black police officers, black firefighters, and black EMTs? Because it's not just police, it's first responders. We know firefighters are slower when they gotta go to a black neighborhood. We know paramedics take their time and leave your ass to bleed out and die. We need black first responders. And these are jobs that not anybody, but people who basically just got a brain in their head and actually want to do the job can do. You could kill two birds with one stone. We could get people from the community who actually care about the community in these positions, and we can deal with joblessness, which is a big issue in the black community. We could deal with joblessness, kill two birds in one stone. This is doable. A lot of the problems that 99% of the problems that a lot of black people face and the racism that they face come from like the local level, and you can actually deal with it if you actually took the time to organize and want to deal with it. Not to ramble on or to use Ferguson as an example again. Ferguson was a city that was 2/3 black, but 80% of the elected officials were white, and 90% of the police department was white. That's unacceptable. And then for decades, that black majority let that white majority run roughshod on them, kill them, basically let the police be parasitic and feed off them with all this extra ticketing, and they was using that to fund the government. They was taking the black tax base, black tax dollars, and using it to build up the white part of the town. So the black part looked like hell, the white part looked like heaven, because they basically got their tax dollars and the black people tax dollars, plus the money that they was getting from black people through all this bogus ticketing, and using it to make sure they built themselves up while the black people are living in squalor. Because they just sitting by letting that shit ride. Just like when the prosecutor who refused to prosecute for Mike Brown getting killed, Mike Brown was the 13th black man that got killed unarmed, that the police killed, and he was allowed to walk free. And while everybody was out there protesting, acting like they really care about Brown and they want to change stuff, that same white prosecutor got reelected unopposed. Nobody ran against them. How much do you really care about Mike Brown and trying to change the system for not just him, but all the black victims of that area, if you're a white man who's making it his business to fuck you all over because his father was a police officer? He got killed by police, and he said it himself when he got killed by a black person. And he said it himself when his day that his father got killed, he made up in his mind he's going to become a prosecutor and deal with the criminals. And he's using that office ever since he got elected to just hurt black people, which shows you that when he equate black with criminal. And he said this publicly. Where was the actual effort to get this man out of office? It doesn't exist. So can you really say you really care about black lives? Can you really say that you actually want to see a change when you sitting around not doing nothing? When it's actually doable, you didn't even put up an effort to try to get that man out of office. Do you really care? My fault, Diaz. I didn't mean to do a little rant, but it's like that was an issue I was thinking about all day. Like, not even all day, just like this a whole week. Like, do we really care about our lives?
Man, I mean, I was excellent, man. I wanted you to expound. You know, that's why I connected that question, because I honestly feel the same way. You know, I feel like a lot of us don't really take certain things serious. You know, even as far as, you know, what our family situation in our households, I feel like we don't take certain things serious, man. And with all these things going on with black people and getting gunned down by the police, man, we gotta really sit down with our children and pretty much teach them how to deal with police, because these police is out of control, man. And they know as a political body, we're not worth shit in the system. So at the end of the day, that's why they killing us too, because they know they're gonna get away with it. They know that, there's already a little fund for them to just kick out some money and to pretty much pay for a body. They understand that. And that's why I think they do it like that, because there's no real repercussions. You know, they know, and that's because they know we don't have political power. And that's because we don't seek that. We seek consumer power. We seek how much money we can gain so we can just buy things. So that's why, I connected that question, and I totally agree with what you're saying. So my next question is, just to keep it current, and this is my last current event question. How you feel about the thing that's going on with Fabulous and his wife?
I wasn't really paying too much attention to the situation. I didn't even watch the tape, but he beat up his wife in front of her father and threatened to kill the father. Right? Is that what happened?
Well, from what I saw, they didn't actually show Fab putting his hands on her. They just showed people holding him back, and he threatened to kill her father, but they don't show Emily getting hit at all
All
on
right.
video.
But did she get hit, or that's just what that was just a rumor?
People are saying she got hit and two of her teeth were knocked out, but I still don't think that that's been substantiated yet. I think it's still pretty much a rumor,
Oh,
because
all right.
they're not really showing, they're really not showing anything. They even the video, because for a while they were saying that he beat her up in front of her father too, but in the video you don't see any of that. You just see Fab and her father arguing, and then he started acting like he was getting ready to charge at her, and she started screaming and she ran. So the video was real vague, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People I think people are adding a lot to the story, and I think the story is a lot deeper than what we think. But I asked you the question because I noticed that this is just another tactic for them to defame the character of black men. And I'm not really taking up for the brother, because if he did put his hands on her, I definitely don't agree with that, but we still don't know. And we have a lot of people, Fab is getting ran through the mud right now on social media.
Yeah.
They just showed he did a show the other day, and you know people was booing him in the crowd. Nobody was really nobody was really rocking with him, and it's kind of crazy, man, how people are real quick to just shit on just shit on black men, and they really don't understand the story behind things. you know so that's why I had asked you that question.
Yeah. Well, I think I got it now. I don't like you said, I don't really know what's going on, and I don't know if he really put his hands on her or not. And I understand that domestic violence is wrong and all that. But we do need to know the story, because a lot of times in relationships things get heated. Sometimes people want to fight each other. Sometimes the fight is started by the woman. Sometimes it's started by the man. And we just need to take it as an individual on a case by case issue, because it's just like even with like back to police. Police say like the worst calls to take are the domestic dispute calls, because you never know what happened. Somebody could have just been in their feelings, emotional, and just exaggerated the story because they just was upset, and then about time the cops get there, they calmed down, and it wasn't nothing. Sometimes the person was really getting abused, but they got Stockholm syndrome basically. So about the time the cops get there, they like, it ain't nothing, he didn't do nothing to me. And he really did. That's why it's very important when it comes to domestic disputes that everybody got to take it on a case by case basis and wait till all the information come out. Because, like you said, people were saying that he beat her up in front of her father on the video, but you said the video didn't show that. That's why people got to be very careful with that, especially when you got people who've been in relationships for years, some cases decades. You gotta stand back and you gotta really, really look at that situation, because anybody who ever been in a long-term relationship has knows that it sometimes shit can get really heated, and it's like it's going sideways where it might actually be violence, but that violence never comes, and y'all get past it and y'all laugh at it. Like, remember we was about to fight because you left the toilet seat up and I fell in. Remember that time we was about to fight because I told you don't wash this shirt with that and you did it anyway. So it's like you got to be very careful with domestic disputes and all that. And the part about black men being ran through the mud, I do feel that people making concerted effort to try to show black men as abusers, and I don't think that's cool. And that's a part of the negative stereotype being promoted by black men by the media. That's showing that black men are dysfunctional. They beat on women. They can't. They're emotional. They weak. They cowards. They'll have a problem going on and they want to attack a female, but won't deal with their own issues. I'm not feeling that. Are there some brothers like that? Of course, that go without saying. But to try to categorize black men as that as a whole, I'm not feeling that. Just like they try to do that with black women. They try to portray black women as crazy, unstable. They're liable to just fucking try to slit your throat over nothing. And it's like, and that contributes to the propaganda that makes a lot of younger black people who see this and hear this not want to be together. They want to swirl. They don't. It's just a terrible situation.
Yep, I agree. Because look at the incident that happened with the NFL player Ray Rice when he knocked his girl out in the elevator in a casino. And then when the truth came out, she said she attacked him first. And he kept trying his best not to hit her, and she admitted that she attacked him. She was drunk and she attacked him. And he just happened to, react off impulse and hit her. And it just so happened she was knocked out. But once the truth came out, this man was already ran through the mud in the media, and he lost his NFL career because of that.
I know that story, and that is true, because sometimes it's like we got to remember also, like I've been a black man all my life, and I've been in America all my life. We got to stop pretending like there aren't women who hit men first, and will push you to that point. There's some women who do it just because they think they're a woman. You're not going to hit them back. There's women who do it because they want you to hit them back because they was raised like that. That's some dysfunction that I have seen in my lifetime, that I hope in my lifetime we could do away with it as much as possible. The woman who wants to provoke a man into a fight to try to see if he really love her, like that's the test of your love. If you knock me out, then that means you love me. Or I'm gonna test your manhood to see if you beat me up, then you're a real man because you ain't taking no shit, especially from no woman. I would like to see that done away with, but you're right. This is what it happens sometimes. You got to be cautious, just like the Rihanna and the Chris Brown issue. Chris Brown is driving a car. She's upset about a text message. She's punching him in the face while he's driving a car. That could have resulted in both them dying. Not just both them dying, but him crashing and killing somebody else. A lot of bodies could have been piled up because she's punching him in the face while he's driving. And then he just off impulse beat her up. Not to say that was okay. Maybe he went a little too far. I don't know. But yeah, that's why I say domestic issues are very tricky. and I like to reserve all judgment until all information has come out.
Agreed, brother. Now, my next question for you is, how do you feel about the rise of feminism in the Black community?
It depends on what you mean by feminism, because there have been many women throughout the Black community who has taken up the title of feminist, and they have represented radically different things. If you mean feminism as far as women bringing their issues to the forefront and want them to be addressed, then I have no problem with that, because I do feel that people are not addressing Black women issues. Like, when sometimes people will say that, oh, we don't need to be worrying about a gender issue, we need to worry about a race issue. It's like Black women are a part of the race. If they having an issue, that's a race issue, because their issue is gonna bleed out into everybody else. If Black women are having a serious issue that they need to be solved, that's gonna bleed out into Black men's lives, and it's gonna bleed out into Black children's lives and the community as a whole. So if you're just a woman who wanted to raise women's issues and you want it to be dealt with, like molestation, even though we know only Black women are not the only ones being molested in the community, but sexual assault, rape, and molestation is a big issue, or Black women not being protected from it, because it's not always happening from people in the community, but it's sometimes from people outside the community, and then Black women have nobody to turn to help get them justice, or whatever form justice may take. So that's an issue that needs to be brought to the forefront. But if we talking about somebody who's a feminist, as in we need to separate from Black men are the enemy, then that's a problem. That's a real problem, because the Black woman can rise no higher than the Black man. The Black man can't rise no higher than the Black woman. We in this together. So if you see Black men as your enemy, you might as well hang it up. Hold on 1 minute. Somebody answer my door.
Cool. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the love. You know, definitely love this interview. It's going great so far. If y'all like what y'all hearing, y'all could definitely donate to Sheep Stay Sleep TV. There's the link right there. Brothers bringing some fire tonight, you know. So I appreciate everybody. And definitely, family, after I finish up my questions, we'll definitely be taking questions from the chat. And we'll let the brother answer it.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, cool. But I totally agree with that, and I asked you that question too because I feel like there's a lot of Black feminists on YouTube right now, and they shitting on Stephon Clark, saying that because he said what he said about Black women, that he shouldn't be supported, and F him, and he hated Black women, and and I really don't agree with that. To me, that's too extreme,
I
and that
understand what
goes
you're
into
talking
that
about,
Black feminism.
because a lot of those women who are saying that are women who hate Black men anyway, and they say the same shit about Black men on the internet. That's the game. That's why I don't play the gender war game, whether it be male or female, because the same shit you crying about Black men saying about you, you're saying about Black men. Because if you ever noticed it, black gender warriors who are men and Black gender warriors who are females are exactly the same. Their talking points are the same. They look for the same thing. They both want to swirl. They both hate the other group because they feel like they don't love them enough. It's always the same. So all that Black women going their own way and all that other bullshit, that's fake. That's bullshit. Because like I said, Black women cannot rise no higher than Black men. There is no out for you. You're not gonna be able to swirl your way to freedom. It don't work like that. You're not going nowhere. Just like the sister who got killed in Chicago. She got she got killed because a police officer pulled up and started dumping into an alleyway full of black people. It just so happened that the black woman got hit. He just saw black people and he just started shooting in the in the whole in the alleyway. You see, that could have been a black man. That was a black woman, but it could have been a black man who got hit. It could have been a black man and a black woman. It could have got all of them hit. Black people, racism is an issue we gotta deal with together. There is no you gonna go your own way and then you magically ain't gonna have to deal with racism and you're gonna be fine and living in this la la land. And if you're a black woman and you just say fuck the black man and you run off somewhere. And it's the same thing if you're a black man. Because if the crazy part about this that's so stupid and that people don't see the flaw in their logic, the black Stephon Clark was talking that black men save yourself shit. That MGTOW, black man go your own way shit, swirl shit. Stay away from black women. Your life will be better. Remember he said black women bring dark days. He was talking that, and that didn't save him. So what makes a black woman think if she start talking that same talk, but against black men, that will save her from a bullet? That will save her from mass incarceration because black women are being mass incarcerated too. What is they being profiled too? They being gunned down, beaten by police. Everything that's happening to black men is happening to black women. If that type of bullshit don't save black men from racism, it ain't gonna save black women from racism neither. So it's stupid.
Totally agree. I totally agree. So speaking on racism, my next question is, do you believe racism or what we like to call white supremacy, do you believe it's a personal thing or is it just business?
It's both. It's everything because it bleeds out into everything. What we call racism, white supremacy, it bleeds out into sex. It bleeds out into working. It bleeds out into personal relationships. It bleeds out into how countries interact with each other. It's in everything. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. You can't escape it. You can't say it's one or the other. Because I've been black my whole life. There's never been a time where I could say if I just deal with white people on a personal level, I don't have to worry about racism. Or if I just deal with them on a business level, I don't have to worry about racism. Or if I deal with them on this level, I don't have to worry about racism. Or that level. It doesn't work like that. It's not one or the other. It's both. It's all.
Got you, got you, got you. Um, my next question is, with the uprising of black entrepreneurship, why do you think black businesses don't survive or thrive like they should?
It's a multitude of reasons. One is because a lot of times people who start black businesses, they go into the business undercapitalized. And by undercapitalized mean that they need the business to be profitable right away. A lot of times when people start businesses, their business is not profitable, might not be profitable for 2-3 years. So they're running a business for 2-3 years before they actually are able to turn a profit and live off it and actually do business ownership. A lot of black people, if their business ain't turned to profit in 3 months, they got to close down because they start the business as soon as they have just enough money to start the business, which might cause your business, which causes a lot of black businesses to fail. Two is that sometimes they gotta go, instead of just being a business, they try to go too far with the black stuff. Instead of just letting it be a business, like say if I created a soda brand, I'm just gonna market it as a soda brand. I'm not gonna throw all that extra. The same way Coca-Cola is not marketed as a white soda brand, it's just marketed as a soda brand. Even though we know they do with the people who own it, the people who created it, and the people who benefit from it. But it's still just marketed as just a soda brand. And they got white people in the commercial, black people in the commercial, Indians, Arabs, Mexicans, whoever. It's just marketed as soda. A lot of times they come into this on this old blackity, super pro blackity black stuff, and you scaring away potential customers. Because it's hard for a business to just survive with this black customer, especially if you're not like in a super black city like Detroit. It's going to be hard to just survive with just black customers. And you don't need to do all that. You could just put out a product, whoever buy it, and then you take that money and you do your blackity black agenda with it, just like everybody else. When people put out books or movies or whatever, they sell it. It's open to everybody. And they know that it's going to be marketed to a certain group of people, but they never say it explicitly like, oh, I'm marketing this to white males between the age of 18 and 35. They just put it out there for everybody to consume, but they make sure they use their advertisement to target certain groups. And then they get their money and they do what they do with it. Another reason is because a lot of times black people don't support black businesses. They just don't. And that's for multiple reasons. Sometimes you got your black people who believe the white man ice is colder. Sometimes you have your black businesses, again, the stuff tend to be more expensive. And a lot of times they start these businesses in poor black neighborhoods where people don't have that extra $3-5 to pay you. They got to go with whoever got the product and got it for the cheapest. They don't have that extra money to give you. And another thing is, sometimes black people run bad businesses and people don't want to spend their money with them. It's like you running a bad business. And another time, black people, which is different from the second thing I said, they make their products too expensive. And they doing it on purpose because they trying to live $1 million lifestyle off the business. So, and they trying to do it out the gate. So instead of charging maybe $5 for something, it's $12. You see that a lot in like, I don't want to single nobody out, but like I'm from New York, you see that a lot in like West Indian restaurants. Like you have a platter of food that costs like damn near $12, and you could get that same equivalent of food from like the Spanish restaurant, same type of food for like maybe $5-6, $7 the most, and you can go to the Chinese restaurant and get that same platter of food for like maybe $3, even though we know the Chinese restaurant not so good to go to. But at the end of the day, when you're dealing with people who don't have it like that, how am I going to support you? It's like a lot of the food that you sell is made from parts of the animal that are the cheapest. Like, what's the most popular food at a West Indian restaurant? Oxtail. Oxtail is throwaway meat. Most people don't even count that as actually real food meat. Just like, and you selling that to people, but you're charging like $15 for it. People don't got $15 to pay for one meal. A lot of people don't have it like that. And again, not to single them out or nothing like that. I'm just saying that this is a reason why a lot of black businesses fail.
Great points. Great points. And I definitely agree. I definitely agree with all of them. Definitely agree with all of them. My next question, I see that you're a dad. You're not just a father, you're a dad. Do you feel that how do you feel about black fatherhood? Do you feel that it's unappreciated, and why?
I do sometimes feel black fatherhood is unappreciated because a lot of times, sometimes we dealing with some of our sisters who come from fatherless homes, so they don't understand how important a father really is. So they just basically seem like, hey, I have no father and I turned out all right and I'm doing okay. So what's the big deal? You just an extra body. When that's not the case. It's certain things that only a father can teach his son. You need and two heads of better. I mean, many hands make light work. Instead of you burning yourself out trying to be mommy and daddy, you can just be mommy and you can focus on that. So instead of trying to be okay, you could be the great mommy you was always designed to be, instead of trying to be the okay daddy and the okay mommy, running yourself ragged between the two roles, basically stressing yourself out and confusing the kids and being bipolar. Because one minute you want to be like, oh, come here, baby, and the next minute you want to be the tough disciplinarian, and it's causing confusion, and that's a lot of work on one person. So a lot of times I do feel Black fatherhood is unappreciated, because again, some of our sisters just think that they don't need no man. They really believe that they don't need a man. They don't need him to be a father, and they believe that anything that their son or their daughters would need to learn from a man, why can't they teach them? And I have experienced that myself. And it's not a good feeling. It causes confusion. And that's how you create absentee parents, where every time the father may be trying to do something and you trying to step in front of him like, I'm going to do it. Because you're trying to be like your mother, trying to play mommy and daddy. Now it's like, so why am I here? Am I just in-house dick? Am I just a extra set of hands when you need an extra set of hands? And that causes problems, that causes contention in the house, because now a lot of times the woman might only want to call you when they want you to discipline the child, and they too tired to do so. So now that creates a bad relationship with you and your child, because every time they see you, or you're being called to, you handing out ass whoopings. You ain't teaching me how to do this, do that, not playing catch with me or doing nothing like that. Every time I see you, you handing out an ass whooping. That's gonna make the kid not like you. Every time I see you, you're just sitting around, like you're basically being like a babysitter to us. You're not helping us. You're not doing anything. And a lot of times, dudes are doing stuff like start to behave like that because they don't want to bring conflict into the house. I've seen it. I've seen dudes basically drop out of their kids' life, where their kids is basically growing up fatherless with the father in the house, because he trying to keep peace in the house. Because if he try to do father shit, the mother's gonna get offended, and it's gonna be a big fight and argument. So I do definitely believe Black fatherhood is underappreciated, and it causes a lot of problems, because again, it's only but so it's on. Is there are certain things only a man can teach his son, and even teach his daughter, and all that. And you definitely need that Black fatherhood, because it's like a lot of times these boys, why the young boys is out of control, because a little boy can be scared by his mother, but a teenage boy ain't gonna be scared of his mother. He probably taller than his mother. 16-year-old ain't scared of his mother. Ain't worrying about her, ain't listening to her, knowing that the days of beatings or the days of you yelling, acting crazy like you're gonna kill me, that shit is over with. I already figured you out. I already know what I can get away with, what I can't get away with. And they just out there running roughshod, and the woman is like, somebody help me.
I agree, bro. I totally agree. And I definitely wanted your take on that, you know. And I asked you that too because I noticed, you know, black men are heavily scrutinized on, you know, on the way we deal with our children, you know, and the statistics show that we're actually the best fathers. We're even better fathers than white men. The statistics prove that. But, you know, the popular conversation is black men leave their children all the time, and, you know, they don't really understand that that's a lot of that shit be propaganda, man, because there's more black stepfathers than in any other race too. A lot of black men take on other men's children also.
That's a great unappreciated fact about Black fatherhood also. That a lot of times, a lot of black men have to take on another man kid for whatever the reason may be. Got to take on another man's kid, and that shows that all right. That fact alone proves to me that black men are the best fathers, because other groups of men ain't taking on nobody else's kid. I watch other groups of men tell a woman that if you really want to deal with me, you got to abandon your kids. I I don't remember ever seeing a black man do that. Like that's my own anecdotal experience, but I never seen that before. I've seen that multiple times from other races of men. Never seen that from a black man. Never seen a black man just be like, "Well, that ain't my kid. I'm not doing nothing for him." You feel me? I don't see it. I didn't see it. That right there proves right there that to me at least, like I'll say that again, that black men do make the best fathers because not only are they ready to be fathers to their own kid, they ready to take on and help with other children. Other men ain't willing to do that shit. Another race of women, they know if they get pregnant and whatever that happened and the kid's father ain't around, they fuck. It's over. The chances of them finding another quality man to get married to on some Brady Bunch shit, that ain't happening. Once men hear you have a kid, that's runaway time. They running right away from you. They avoid single mothers and all that like the plague. Black men don't do that. So I definitely again feel that black men are underappreciated, and again sometimes it's just I'll say that some sisters are confused because they might see a father being a father to his kid and they might take it as abuse or take it as you being lazy or why you being so rough. And it's not like that. Like the kid is not being abused. Nobody's punching the kid in the head, punching him in the chest, doing something that could kill the kid or something like that. It's just sometimes a father need to have some bass in his voice when he's dealing with his son. And you gotta respect that. And that's what I see a lot of our sisters have a problem with respecting that. Like you gotta let that ride.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Because if if they don't let us, you know, raise these boys to be men, they'll never be men. And part of being a man is being masculine. And a lot of a lot of us like to talk about the effeminate males. That's because a lot of these boys are not being raised by masculine men. And to be masculine, you know, you gotta be able to get down and dirty too. It's not just about looking strong, but you gotta be strong mentally and physically. So when dealing with your son sometimes, man, you gotta check your son because what happens is you gotta let your son know that there's a line between a man and a boy because a son will test his dad, you know, because I always gotta check my oldest son, because sometimes he gets too flippity with his mouth, and I gotta let him know that you talking to a man, and I'm checking you because I don't want you to go out in the world and think you could talk to other men this way because another man, he might not talk to you. He might just knock your head off. So they have to understand that we're teaching manhood here. And the number one thing with manhood is respect. So you got to watch what you say. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So we always got to enforce that. So I totally agree with that, bro.
Yeah. And might sometimes women might construe that as bullying, but it's not bullying because, like you said, in the streets, nobody not playing with nobody. Like I can't go on the street and just be talking to a man like any kind of way. That's gonna cause problems, man. Like that's gonna cause problems, and your mothers may be looking at that as your baby, but when he's 18, 20, or even 16, or even 14 years old, other people in the street ain't looking at him as that's your baby. They looking at him as a male, another male who's trying to try me. And I need to stick up for myself as a male, as a man. And this is why and you got to learn not to be emotional all that also. Boys need to know that they can't just be like super emotional. They can't just fly off the hinges, because that's another thing that happened with so many young boys. They raised by women. They see women flying off the mouth, saying anything at any time to anybody, and without a care in the fucking world, and nothing don't be really happening to them. So when you got a boy growing up and seeing that, they think they can do that, and then next thing you know, they dead. They in jail. They beat the fuck up. They ain't got a job. All kind of problems. All kind of problems. And it all will stem from because he's just too crazy with his mouth, like a female. Like, again, females fly off the handle with their mouth. Females are just getting their feelings and say all kind of shit that you know they don't mean, and they know they don't mean, and they'll come back to you 5 minutes later like, I'm sorry, or whatever the case may be, and you just like, all right, you was a woman and you was in your emotions. You was dealing with emotions. But if a man did that, it'll be a problem. And that's what causes a lot of the problems. People, when they talk about effeminate dudes, a lot of times a dude can be hyper masculine, and that could be doing that hyper masculinity to hide the fact that they effeminate deep down, because they so emotional. That's why they so quick to want to fight, kill, and all this other crazy shit, because they just emotional, which is effeminate. That's a quality of being an effeminate man, being emotional and giving irrational responses. Like, you lose a video game, now you want to kill people.
Right. Yeah, that's a good ass example. That's true. Very true. Um, I got two more questions for you, bro, and then we're gonna take some questions from the chat. Um, I heard you say on Soul Alchemy's interview you did with her. Shout out to her.
Shout out to her.
You said that you like comic books. So are you into more of the specific characters, or are you just into the whole stories behind the characters?
It depends, because I just recently got into like basically comic books. I'm not like a comic book person. I just really just got into it. Not even back into it, because I wasn't into it when I was little. I would watch the TV shows, but as far as comics go, no. I'm now getting into it and reading them and all that. But it's like, I'm a DC person, because everybody, the big two is Marvel, DC. So everybody got to be DC or Marvel. Even though we know everybody likes both, like something about both, but it's either you rolling with DC or Marvel. I roll with DC, and my favorite DC character, of course, is Batman, and I like the Justice League, so that's what I'm buying, and that's what I'm reading. But the comics that really caught my attention are like the indie comics. Those are like the independent companies. And my favorite one is Image. The majority of the comics, quote unquote, I got is from Image. And it's because they comics, but they targeted at adults. They deal with adult themes and all that. It's just that it just happens to be in comic book form. Like, if somebody wrote these stories out in regular book and novel form, most adults would love them and read them. But it's like the comic book aspect of it might turn some people off. And when they turn these comics into shows, people love them. Like, The Walking Dead was created by Image. That's an Image comic. There are, I think, a couple of other shows that people watch on TV that are Image comics. Like, Sci-Fi Network is about to premiere an Image comic called Deadly Class. So it's like I'm getting into it slowly. I like it a little bit. I'm seeing things I don't like. Like, I had talked about this before, like probably a year ago, about how through my time of doing so much reading, I have realized that fiction is the last safe haven, no pun intended, of racism, of bigotry. And No, literature, literature. Because I've been reading all types of books. So literature is the last safe haven of bigotry, and fiction is the citadel. And for all you who don't know, a citadel is the strongest part of a castle. That it's the citadel of it. It's like there's so much racism in fiction, and a lot of times people don't catch it or they brush it off as this is just make believe. When the racism is like oozing, and it's like it's no way you don't see this. Like if I had not told you that this was a fictional book, you would recognize it instantly. And that's another thing I'm starting to see that I ain't really too much feeling.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I agree. Cause my oldest son, he's an anime kid. He loves anime and science fiction.
oh
Uh,
yeah, I got that too. Like I got a lot of manga.
yeah,
That's that's the
he's a
that's the
manga
anime
head.
comic book. Yeah, that's the anime comic books. I got that. I got a lot of science fiction. I got sci-fi. I got science fiction, fantasy books. I got the whole. I got everything from Game of Thrones. What we know as Game of Thrones, but it's the books is called A Song of Ice and Fire. I got all that. I got my Red Rising saga. I got my. I got the Powder Mage. I got a lot of stuff that I like that are fantasy and whatever. And there's some racism in that too.
Yeah, yeah. Cause
That I don't,
I noticed that a lot of those they make a lot of the main characters or the most powerful characters. They make them white pretty much.
it's
You
not
could be
just
watching a Japanese anime, but the main character is white, or
yeah
they got them looking white.
yeah they be white yeah. So I say you gotta be very careful. It's like careful with that
Yeah,
because there's less of it in manga because it's like it's Japanese based, so it's less of the racism in there. Even though it's depending on what you're watching, there's some in there, but it's not necessarily that the white character is the most powerful character because you got to remember a lot of this is being created by white people, so of course they're gonna make themselves the most powerful. It's the depictions of blacks that really get me. It's like every stereotype of a black person you'll see it in the character.
yeah, and I believe they do that because they're very much heavy into occultism. They're heavy into symbolism, and they pretty much understand that if they put themselves in a place of power in our children's minds from young, then they will pretty much grow up and respect them as the form of authority or as the power structure in the world. So they
That
rule us, they rule our children with these cartoons and stuff like that because of the symbolism. And I believe that's why a lot of you had a lot of a lot of uproar about Black Panther because it was all black, and the symbol of Black Panther represents a black man and a black nation, and they didn't want our children to subconsciously digest that because then they will start to see themselves as powerful. That's why Batman is white, Superman is white, Spider-Man is white, and our children grow up loving these characters because that's them in the seat of power. But with Black Panther, um, it was something totally different. Even with Luke Cage, they made something that was created by white scientists that can destroy him. But you didn't see that in Black Panther. So that's why I believe that a lot of white people had a problem with the Black Panther movie, and coming from that whole white franchise dealing with Marvel. I believe that that's what the problem was. They don't want black kids to grow up and say, I want to be Black Panther.
Yeah, and you're right about the TV shows teaching people like that, because that's what they designed to do. They condition people. Like going back to a book, I read a book called, I think it's called Subliminal, how the unconscious mind and unconscious is the scientific term for what we call the subconscious rules your behavior, rules the conscious mind. And it talked about, and they had a part of the book that talked about how black people, because they watch the same TV shows as white people that show black people in a negative light, that's geared kind of to white people, that they view themselves the same way white people do. Like black people, the same way white people view black people view themselves the same way, because they're watching the same shows. They're seeing the white man in a in a superior position, and they see the black man representing negative stereotypes, not just a black man, black woman, representing negative stereotypes and all this other stuff. And it gets into them, and you keep watching that, it gets into your subconscious. And then that's how you start to see the world. Like I did a video before about, they did a study and showed that black people are just as quickly to shoot another black person as a white person, and they just as slow to shoot a white person as a white person is slow to shoot another white person. And they said a lot of that is because they watch the TV. TV is constantly showing black people as enemies, as aggressive, as criminals, as bad. So your mind associates black with bad. So in a split second, if you got to make a split second decision and you see black, you're going to shoot. But because your mind don't necessarily associate white with that, in that split second, you're not going to shoot. You'll take that extra second or two to evaluate the situation to see if this person is really a threat or not. And that comes from too much TV watching.
Totally agree. I totally agree. And that goes into social engineering and programming. And you know, after this show, family, I'll definitely be doing another show talking about social engineering and programming of us. So y'all stay tuned for that too. But this is my last question, bro, and then we're gonna take some questions from the chat. My last question to you is education versus knowledge. Why do educated blacks have the same perception as educated whites?
It's because they're being taught the same. It's just like back to the question about the TV. You watch the same TV shows as somebody, you're gonna have the same views as them. Whatever the message of that TV show is trying to communicate to you, everybody who watches it and watches it religiously will all see the world the same way. It's the same way. If you go to the same schools, study the same curriculums, and get taught by the same teachers, chances are you're going to see the world the exact same way. That's how that happens. It always happens like that. School is where a lot of black kids get their inferiority complex, and it's not just any subject. It's more or less history. History class is what does it. Like you got to really have a racist teacher or whatever for them to try to program inferiority into you in math class, because math is like universal. It's just numbers. But a lot of it is that history class, because I know that from my own experience. Like I talk about this a lot in the conscious community when I talk about the importance of teaching and actually putting forth a good message, because it's like I was in school. I remember teachers telling me stay away from anything that's Afro-centered. It's bad. It's garbage. I remember them even like, that's how I first even saw like John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, and I think even Khalid Muhammad. Like I think a teacher showed them to me and like, these are bad people. These are bad people. Like for a long time until like just recently, I used to think the Black Panthers, like the group from Oakland, I used to think that they was the black version of the Ku Klux Klan because I was taught that in school. So if you came to me saying anything positive about the Ku Klux, I mean about the Black Panthers, I would have looked at you as like the most, as like, oh, so you're supporting racism. You're no different than a white person who supports the Ku Klux Klan if you support the Black Panthers. I thought that for a long time because I was taught that. This is why so many times when you talk to certain black people, they use the same exact talking points that a racist white person would use. That's not because they was born a coon or whatever the case may be. That's learned. That's learned. Like I just did the video about National Geographic coming out and talking about how, wait, hold on 1 minute. All right, I'm back. It was about how National Geographic admitted that for decades they was putting out negative images about black people and about black people specifically in Africa. That they was doing that for decades, and that's one of the reasons that contributed to this all this "I'm not an African" talk among black people, because the images were so negative and so backwards and so primitive that nobody wants to be associated with that. And it's gonna make you feel bad about yourself to be associated with that. That's how a lot of black people started creating this fiction that they not associated with that. They have nothing to do with that. Those are not their people. And that was done on purpose.
I agree. I agree. And
Like when
I asked that question too because I noticed that because I went to school myself, but I never I never looked down on none of my homeboys or anything that didn't go to college, that didn't graduate from school or nothing like that because I was always taught, you know, alikes, I'm like my brother, even though I may have a little more education as far as the system goes, if I'm hanging out with the same type of guys, we're similar in a lot of ways. So I never look down on them, and I don't really hold these college degrees and all that in high esteem. But I notice like the older people in my family, they pretty much they adorn that type of shit. They adore it. Oh, you graduated from college. You should be this, you should be that, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Oh, you're so smart. I'm glad you went to school. Like they equate education with knowledge. And I've actually learned a lot more things from people who haven't been to school. And I'm talking about things dealing with life and things that's going to take me further in life, things that help me get to where I'm at now. So that's why I brought that question up, because a lot of times people equate education and knowledge as it's the same thing when it's not, you know?
yeah, I definitely understand you. And it's like because it's like I said, I went to school. I didn't even know. I didn't get to go to college. I was going to college, but some things happened, so I had to handle some other things. But I never actually got to finish, and I couldn't decide what I wanted to do until later on. And then I couldn't do that because of some of the situations. But I did take some college courses when I was in high school or whatever the case may be. And I always been the person who tried to do a lot of extra work and studying. But it's like I didn't even know black people even had history. Like if you would have asked me, do black people have history? I couldn't tell you nothing. If you would have asked me a question about ancient Rome, I probably could have answered any question you wanted. Cause I probably named all the emperors. Could have told you from Romulus and Remus, and Romulus founding the city in 453 BC till the fall of Constantinople, all the way in 1453 AD, Like I could have told you the whole between that, those two events, and everything in between. Like American Revolution and Napoleonic Wars. If you would have asked me any of that stuff, I could have told you. If you would have asked me name one like black kingdom or one place in Africa that had anything resembling like what we would call civilization, I couldn't have told you. I probably would have even told you it don't even exist.
Right, right. So that's all my questions for you, bro. Family, if you got any questions for the guest tonight, my brother Haven Bullets, put it in the chat room now. I'm gonna take y'all questions and then we're gonna let the brother go back and do his daddy thing, you know. So y'all post y'all questions in the chat. Post y'all questions in the chat, family. If y'all have any questions, post it in the chat. First question I see, um, it says during the Sixth Dynasty interview, why did you say the original Killmonger was white, and why do you think they took that video down?
I don't know. I never asked somebody to took the video down, but I don't remember saying Killmonger was white. I think you're saying that I said that Killmonger basically became like a white person because he was supposed to be the representation of an African American, and he was basically being viewed as basically black people in America have always been viewed as kind of like black white people. We the whitest of all black people. Like we have had all Africanness stripped from us. Like there is nothing. Like maybe a little bit of blacks in Louisiana because Louisiana used to be a French colony, and maybe the Gullah Geechee along the South Carolina coast. But otherwise, not blacks as a collective in America. We have no African culture. We were thoroughly stripped of it to the point where we only had the white culture and the culture we made up along the way. So when black people used to travel abroad or whatever the case may be, we always had a more positive experience with other groups of white.
Okay, okay.
We always had a more positive experience with other groups of whites. It's like when I was using an example from like the world wars. When black people went to Europe to go fight in the world wars, they were always more better treated and better received by the Europeans than the blacks who came from Africa to fight. The blacks who came from Africa to fight were treated like dogs, like less than a dog. They life like a dog life really was more valuable than theirs. But the blacks who came from America were allowed to socialize with the white people, like move around the town. They wanted to talk to them and talk about culture and stuff like that because they're like, hey, you from America, you understand this, you understand Western culture. What you feel about this? How you feel about that? So I think did that answer the question?
Let's see. Did that answer the question, bro? My brother Uncle Shug, did that answer your question? The next question, I'll wait for his answer in the chat. But the next question says, why pro-blacks don't call out savages in the black community?
Yeah. It depends on what black pro blacks you talking about, but I'll say this. Um, Sometimes people don't talk about the necessarily thing because you remember a lot of people who are quote unquote pro black, they hyper fixated on racism and racial issues that affect the black community. Remember, two black people killing each other, that's more or less a personal issue. Like I kill you, because because you slept with my girl, or you killed me because I stepped on your sneakers. That's a personal issue, and that doesn't necessarily affect more or less the community at large. But like again, with the situation with Stephon Clark, he got shot in the back by a police officer in the dark, and we know connecting to a wide outside of a vacuum, we understand that that's racism. That's something that could have happened to any black person at any time. Whether, again, like I said, whether you be light skinned, dark skinned, old, young, male, female, rich, poor, educated, uneducated. That was the killing of black. And I see that they tend to be more focused on that because that affects everybody. Somebody like I'm on the East Coast, two people killing each other in Chicago, that doesn't necessarily affect me. But a black person being killed in Sacramento, and we know that was a racist killing by police, which is happening all around the country, that affects me. Because that's just adding to the psyche of police officers thinking that it's okay that we can just kill black people with impunity. So I might have an interaction with a cop and he might blast me because that's just how he's feeling, and he's know he's gonna get away with it because he's seen it displayed out so many times all across the country. So that's why I feel a lot of people don't necessarily address issues as much as the violence in the black community.
Okay. Next question. How do we teach our children to tell the truth about this system and work within it?
Simple. You teach them that we know racism is real. You know this is what you do. You teach them that racism is real, and you teach them that we got to find our way to put ourselves in a better position. It's like you don't necessarily got to teach your kid to put on a black leather jacket and put on a black beret, and every time you see a white person go black power. There's more productive things they can do. Like you can teach them their history so they don't get tricked out their spot. Because history is so important. This is the reason why we got, I like to call the accidental coon. So many black people don't know their history or know about all the problems that black people face that are still going on. That's how they fall for the okie doke. If you teach your kid about racism and teach them about the society, they know what they got to do, and tell them that your job as a black child coming up is to do your best to help yourself and I don't know how I'm supposed to put this. You're just supposed to help yourself and do your best because you know you got a racist society out to get you. Because studies have shown that black children who are race consciousness, like they recognize that they're black and they understand about their position in this society, and they like being black and they pro black, they do better in school than children who have no race consciousness and are not proud to be black. Like this is study after study shows this. Because your kid who is knowledgeable and knows that he's a part of a racist society is not gonna let the words of the slick comment here or there of a racist white teacher knock them down, knock their self-esteem out. They already knew that was coming. They already understand they in a racist society. They already know how you look at them. So when you say it, that's just confirmation. It ain't a surprise. It ain't no punch to the gut where it's like, oh my God, I thought you was this nice teacher I love. Now you saying I ain't gonna be nothing with my life. If you teach your kid about racism, they already know that's how the teachers see them. Your job is not to be there to be their friend, to not be cool. Your job is there to get their education so you can do what you need to do in life. So you could put yourself in a position, in a better position where racism can least affect you and hopefully be in a position to fight racism. So that's how you do it. You just teach your kid, tell them the real. They don't need to go to, and listen, tell your kid they don't need to go to school repeating everything you said. Just tell them about, listen, you black, we are black people. We got to deal with racism. A lot of white people don't like you, and they never gonna like you just because you black. Don't let that get you down. We are good people. We are proud people. Don't fall for the propaganda a lot of the propaganda you see on TV and in school. Just stay strong and know that you just there to get your education. The same way mommy and daddy go to work, we face racism at work, but we only there to get that check. We ain't worried about none of that other shit that nobody talking about. We're not there to make friends. We going to do an agenda. We have an agenda. We here to get that money and come home and come back to our loving family. Your job is just to get that education and come home to your loving family. You ain't looking for no love from Miss Kabaski or whatever the fuck. You feel me? That's how I see it. And that's how I be on it.
No doubt, no doubt.
I hope I didn't ramble on and I gave like a clear answer. Like I'm gonna just try to sum it up real quick. Teach your kid who they are and what's going on in that society, in this society that they live in, and give them basically an agenda that is your job to just make sure you do your best so you can better avoid racism and hopefully be in a position to fight it and help your people. That's it. Like, you don't got to teach your kid to be running down on white people every time they see them and like say sorry for slavery. We already know they're not going to say sorry for slavery. And that sorry ain't helping nobody in any way. Because that sorry ain't giving nobody reparations. That sorry ain't reversing all the culture and all our essence of ourself that we lost. It ain't doing none of that.
I agree. I agree. Next question. Next question says, let me scroll up a little bit. Says, how can people take what you say for real when you admitted to double crossing the people that gave you a platform to be known?
The reason people could take me for real is because I did, quote unquote, exactly that. Because those people were scamming the people. This is what I keep telling people. I got behind the scenes and I saw that it wasn't what it was. I was a big promoter of Sonetta, and I have said that before because, again, like I said earlier, I didn't even know black people had history. I had literally started learning about black history by mistake. I was reading a book about the ancient Romans, and I magically stumbled on some black people. And I'm like, oh, what is this? And then I started looking them up and doing research into them and into other groups of people. And that's kind of how I found the conscious community. And I'm seeing all these brothers coming on, sounding all smart, teaching people about their history, talking about things I didn't even know about. I was hooked. That's why I salute. I was always saluting Sonetta and all that. But once I got behind the scenes and I saw that it wasn't what it was, I had to say something. I had to say something because that would make me fake. That would make me a part of the problem. If I'm sitting here smiling and beguiling with people, making them think that they actually following behind people who actually got their best interests at heart and actually seeking to help them and liberate them, then that make me fake. That make me a part of the problem. Because polite scamming people out of their last, that would make me a part of white supremacy. If you work against black people, you're a part of white supremacy, no matter who you're working for. If it's a group of black people working together to work against the best interests of black people, that makes you a part of white supremacy. That makes you a part of racism. You're trying to hurt black people. And you playing with the legitimate aspirations of black people to be free, to get out this system. This is why I had to expose Boyce so long ago, and I'm happy Yvette Carnell put the nail in his coffin, or what should have been the nail in his coffin, when I exposed Boyce for actually not being about that. He's just using that talk and to try to market his products, which are bullshit and ain't helping nobody. Because you ain't hearing that one testimonial about somebody starting a business or doing for being able to put themselves in a better situation for going to that black business boot camp bullshit. And he knew he was playing with the people. Boyce Watkins is a college-educated man. Not only is he college-level educated, he taught at the collegiate level. And he taught a subject dealing with economics. He knew that there was no way he was going to teach you how to that any black person could just take his course for like whatever it was, like 2-3 weeks, and then you're in a position where you can open businesses and all this other crazy shit. He was selling people a dream and playing with the legitimate aspirations of black people to be free. You're damn right. I had to get at them because at first that's one of the reasons I was faceless, because I'm smart enough to know that even though I was watching Sinetta and all that, I understand that a lot of times it ain't what it seems. And what you see in the front ain't what it is in the back. So I knew before I go all out with these dudes where you got my face on record and I'm shouting them out and I'm doing all this and I'm like ready to ride for them, like, yeah, we about to fix the community or whatever the case may be. I want to see where they really get with it. And I also want to test their defenses. I want to see how far can a faceless person get into get with them. Because you got to know, you always got to worry about infiltration. So I wanted to see let's see what type of defenses these dudes got. And it turns out that not only were they fake and phony, they don't got no defenses. They don't care. They just let anybody in and take a peek behind the curtain. That's why I did what I did. I did what I did to help the people. How many people have congratulated me behind the scenes saying I was going to give money to this one? I was going to follow behind this one. I was going to do this with this one. And I didn't do it. And you helped me keep money in my pocket. You helped me not get in a position to fuck myself over. Like with the Moors thing. How many black people have I saved from that Moorish bullshit? How many black people have been robbed out their life savings fucking with that Moorish shit? How many black people is in jail doing football numbers right now fucking with that Moorish shit? How many black people in the dirt fucking with that Moorish shit? And niggas was letting these niggas come on the platform, promote that bullshit, knowing it's fake. Just like I'm about to upload the video I just found where Sinetta and Unk basically was talking to young Pharaoh like, yo, young Pharaoh, you was supposed to know better not to buy no products from Polite. You know this nigga is full of shit. I don't know why Sinetta or nobody else didn't put you on before time, because that's when Pharaoh first became a personality. And it was like, I don't know why you ain't get to sit down and get the rundown then, because so you should have knew not to give Polite your money. That's why I do what I do. I'm trying to help the people. I'm helping people. Nobody can't deny that I'm helping people. Nobody can deny that I can ever say I lied on somebody. Everything I ever said somebody did, they did it. Nobody can point to one example where I lied on somebody. And I'm waiting for that day. Point to the one time when I called somebody a scammer, a liar, or said somebody got some pseudo-ass information and I was lying. I'm waiting for it. That's what I'm waiting for.
Good shit, man. Good shit. Um, Another question: how do we preach or teach more about our curriculum in our school?
A lot of times you might have to just do like, this is a tactic I learned from Chinese people interacting with them in New York. Their culture is not necessarily taught in school. They just let their kids go to school for the education, the math, the science, whatever the case may be. And they have after school programs where they teach the culture. Or they have set up what I would call like a Saturday school, where like the kids get up, not necessarily like up like they get up maybe like they come through at like 10 maybe or 12 o'clock and they stay to 4 o'clock and they learn Chinese culture, they learn the language, they learn, and that's how they maintain their culture and still being a part of America and going to school, which could make perfect sense. Like it don't hurt to start an after school program for an hour or two, and you talk to the kids and teach them about their history, because the history is the most important part. Like I said, the history is where the inferiority complex come from. The history is where that confusion come from, not so much from math and science. It's from that subject. So you can get your kids and you can teach them what you need to teach them and let them know what they need to know. And maybe if you can't do it every all 5 days, do a program 3 days a week. Like say you only could get your community center for 3 days a week. 3 days a week is better than nothing. 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. I've been a part of programs that did that. You get access to the school. You get so you could do your own little after school program inside the school. A lot of people don't know that the school is. You can contact your principal and ask them, can you run your own little after school program inside the school? Like get a space to do so, like a classroom or two, and the school ain't necessarily got no control over what you're teaching. You can ask that, and they supposed to allow you to do that. Some cases, depending on what state or city you're in, it's supposed to be for free. It might, again, might not be every day, but 3 days out the week, 2 hours, that's better than nothing. And that's how you teach. You get the children and you teach them. Because a lot of people, we ain't got money like that. We could build whole schools, whole school districts from scratch. And now we can teach whatever we want, how we want to teach it. So it's better to just start small with that. If you can, after school programs or just Saturday, every Saturday for like maybe 4 3 hours, we sit down, we read about our history. We read about the all the accomplishments of African Americans, despite all the racism we had to deal with. About like, hey, did you know that the black man invented the refrigerator? I think the refrigerator invented the shower, traffic light. The black man is the one who designed the subway system that all country that's used all over the world. Did you know the black man did this, did that? Black woman did this, black woman did that. And that helps boost the confidence, make them feel good about themselves. And you didn't need to build an entire school system to do it. Or in a little bit of history, like, hey, let me teach you about the Ashanti. Let me teach you about Ghana. Let me teach you about the Zulu. Let me teach you about Anubia. Let me teach you about the Swahili coast. Let me teach you about the castles in Zimbabwe.
And you know, brother, I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly because that's one reason why I started doing a Black History Month series on my channel. It's for that exact reason. So I totally agree, man. That's specifically for the children, but I noticed that later on down the line, those videos pick up on my channel and I get a lot of, you know, great comments from adults saying like, "Oh, I didn't know that about such and such. I didn't know that about such and such." Because like you said, a black man is the one who created the subway system. His name was Granville T. Woods. So
Yeah.
that's something we,
Yeah.
we definitely need to know and we definitely need to teach too. And actually I covered him in this year's Black History Month series. So y'all could go check that out too because we definitely need to know that because I didn't even know that. And when I looked him up, that dude had like they called him the Black Edison. That was his nickname. He was the Black Edison. He's like the father of electricity. Granville T. Woods. He had like over like 70 patents. He created so much shit. Like it was out of this world, man. So I definitely agree with that, bro. Another question I see here says why pro blacks and the conscious community is beefing with each other.
It depends on what you mean by pro-black. Like there's always been beefs because you got ideological differences. But if you mean the beef that you see now, where people are actually like threatening to fight each other and going all out like that kind of beef right now is due to multiple things. Because people are fighting for attention. People are trying to. Some people are trying to make a living off this. So it's like they gotta find a way to get the eyes on them. So if it means like starting trouble, starting problems, because that's the best way to make money. I mean, that's the best way to get the views and stuff popping. It's controversy, and this is just ideological differences, and people are calling each other out for being fakes and phonies because it's like this whole conscious community is riddled, like riddled with scammers, fakes, and phonies. It's like, damn. It's like you can't trust nobody. It's just riddled with it. So it's just that's why it's just so much smoke. It's some of the smoke, like I said earlier, I was causing because, again, they was fighting against each other. Had to get some of them to go against each other to finally help expose them. Because remember, I've been telling people, I was the first person to tell people unequivocally that Umar Johnson is scamming the people. He has no intention of building the school, and everybody behind the scenes know that. I put that video out. Nobody believed me. It wasn't until Tariq Nasheed said it. It said, "Listen, I apologize, family. We all already knew that Umar was never going to build no school. We knew this for years. Umar has just been scamming the people. He's a sexual predator. These are all things I said about Umar, but it didn't get the traction until I kind of helped trying to manipulate some situations where people would beef with each other so they could put that information out there, because that information needed to be out there. Because nobody rarely believed it when I said it, no matter how much proof I showed. But when Tariq said it, it struck home. And other people, like Boyce, Fraud.
Right, right, right. Um, I see one more question here. It says, "What area of study um would you say you like to build on, or you're well versed in? What what do we what do we get at you on specifically? Meaning, like, what should, if people want to chop it up with you and get some knowledge on about some things, what area um would do you specialize in?"
I got a I'm not to sound like I'm bragging, but I got a good range. So it's like, even if I don't necessarily know the information on the top of my head, I know where to go to find it, and I know where to point you in the right direction, because I dibble and dabble in like a lot of things. But like, if you have a question about like politics, even though I've kind of fallen back from it a little bit, like political science or whatever the case may be, you can ask me, because I was gonna go to school for that. But that was one of the things I was saying I was going to go to school for, but I kind of fell back because I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make any money with this degree, and I ain't trying to go into $50,000 in debt, and the only thing I got to show for it is a piece of paper. But I know a lot about political science. If you have any questions about history, I can help you there. Have any questions about just entertainment, whatever, like, you can ask, and I can help you. Because like, I'm about to make a video about Umar, because he's talking about going to the AU, the African Union, and going to the United Nations and trying to get some type of genocide charge against America. I've made a video about that before, explaining to people that that doesn't work like that, because America is not signed on to any of that. Like, the UN has no authority over America. This is something that people. This is why I know a lot of these dudes who be floating these ideas out there never actually tried or intended to implement these ideas. Because if they actually did the basic research onto how would I even do that, they would have found out on their own that you can't do that. You can't sue America. Like, countries have tried to sue America for the problems that America has caused all throughout their land. Like, they tried, like, Henry Kissinger was convicted in absentia, and I think it was El Salvador, for basically like war crimes, for the things that he did, Vietnam, everywhere. But it's like, is Henry Kissinger in jail? No. George Bush is a war criminal. Is he in jail? No, because no country has that authority to arrest Americans. And America is just too powerful. The idea that you're gonna go to the UN, mind you, the UN that's in America, it's in New York, the UN that America pays damn near 2/3 of the money for. So if America stops giving the money to the UN, there is no UN. The UN that has no jurisdiction over America is somehow you're gonna go to them and get them to say, "Hey, America, you got to give black people reparations or some stupid shit like that." It ain't gonna work. Especially going to the African Union, which is some bullshit that was created by white people to replace the the Organization of African Unity, or what I think that's what it's called. That was created by Emperor Haile Selassie and Karama and Nkrumah. It's not gonna work. The AU is useless. It's an institution where white people can come and say, we need y'all to do this, and the Africans go out and do it. Like you see, there's a literal slave trade going on in Libya right now. What has the AU done about it? Not a damn thing. Because white people ain't telling them to do nothing about it. They literally sit around waiting for marching orders from white people. The AU is not gonna. So if they can't deal with a slave trade that's happening on the continent, what the fuck they gonna do for black people in America? It's a fool's mission. It's just a way for Umar to look like he's doing something, and he's trying to help people. He know that shit ain't gonna work, and if he don't know that's gonna work, that makes him even stupider than what I thought he was. It's just a way to make it seem like I'm doing something. I'm active. I'm not just like everybody else who's just talking, even though he still didn't build this school. He's trying to distract from that.
I got you, no doubt. I mean, making a lot of good points, bro. Making a lot of good points, and I like the fact that you expound on your answers too. You don't just give a yes or no type of thing. I appreciate that. The last question I see in the chat is, what about exposing white supremacists or some political corruption?
That's good, but it's like white supremacy is already exposed. We already know what it is, and it's already out there. But we're never going to be able to move against it or move against a corrupt politician if we not organize ourselves. Organizations fight organizations. People who just out here wildcatting, doing whatever come to their mind can't fight no crooked politician. How would, let's say, for example, a conscious community fight a crooked politician? They can't. And the reason they can't is because the majority of the leadership in the conscious community is what? Charlatans or scammers. They or have no intentions on actually ever doing anything but running their mouth and getting money from the people. Like, could you go to Polite right now and say, hey, Polite, you got the new covenant, you got all this money, help us take down this corrupt not congressman, because that might be a little bit too big, but councilman. It ain't gonna happen. Hey, Boyce Watkins, you're getting all this money, you're this college professor. Can you help us get this alderman? Not gonna happen. Umar, you're this great speaker. Everybody loves you. You're the most requested speaker, scholar, whatever the case may be. Can you help us get rid of this corrupt prosecutor? Can't do it. That's why I do what I do with the exposing of them, because I'm trying to tell people, don't waste your time with these dudes. They can't help you, and they don't want to help you. Do not waste your time with them, because you're going to invest your money, your time, and your energy with these clowns, thinking that y'all about to do something, and y'all never do nothing. And there's so much that can be done. Like, for example, I had moved, so I'm not necessarily in the community to be active, but I plan to move again when I find a community that I feel I could do a lot of good in, and I'm gonna do my best to help the people and use any information I have or my ability to get information to put the people in the best position possible. Because I want to say, I say this all the time, I don't plan to remain faceless forever. This is just something I do as of now, just to piss off people like Sonetta and them, when all they can do after I expose them for being frauds is say, show your face. They can't never say I lied. All they can say is show your face.
Right. Person in the chat asked, how about doing a bill on how the failure of the Reconstruction period and how it affects us until this day? Like I guess this
that's a
person
good
wants you
bill.
to do a build on that.
Oh, that's a good bill. We could probably do that. That's a good bill, because Reconstruction is where everything went to shit. because a lot of people don't understand, don't know a lot about, because in school they glance over Reconstruction like it wasn't that big of a deal. It was that big of a deal. Reconstruction is when we got the Ku Klux Klan, the first terrorist organization in America that ran an insurgency that didn't just kill black people, but they killed carpetbaggers and they killed Union soldiers. Because people don't know this, that the South was militarily occupied. I forgot how long Reconstruction lasts, but it was militarily occupied. Like say we occupied Afghanistan, that's how we occupied the South. The South was split up into 5 military districts. People don't know that during Reconstruction, black people we had a lot of black politicians because you had the Union Army there protecting black people where they could vote in peace and they could run for office. They were actually abiding by the 14th Amendment. There was talk of reparations and actually giving people money and land. But because it just never materialized, that fucked black people up. Because when Reconstruction failed, that's when we got the century of Jim Crow. That's when we got what I like to call the reinterpretation of the 14th Amendment, where we got separate but equal. And that completely fucked up black progress and set the stage for others to fuck up black progress. Like I like to call the what I call the Great Progressive Era, from FDR to LBJ. This is when America got turned into the quote unquote shining city on the hill, and we created the largest middle class the world had ever seen. Black people were left out of it. Like a lot of the programs, like from the New Deal, black people were left out of the New Deal. That's how the New Deal even got passed. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, made a deal with what we now call the Dixiecrats. That was the Democrats from the South, back when the Democratic Party is what the Republican Party is today, and made a deal with them that if they help him pass it through Congress, he'll allow the states to have control over the distribution of the money. And he knew if the states controlled it, they was going to make it their business that the black people were going to be left out of it. So all this, the middle class and all this other stuff, how white people have all this stuff that where they're at today, a lot of that wealth was trickled down to the everyday white person. Because most people don't notice, in the beginning of America, all that wealth was concentrated in a few hands. You had virtually all white people were basically poor, and only a few were rich. There wasn't really a middle class. That wealth trickled down during that era, from when you had FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, and LBJ. That's when all the wealth trickled down, and that's when we created this quote unquote largest middle class the world ever seen. This is how we got This is how white people got to move into the suburbs. This is how you had actual welfare when it was actually worth a damn. Because back when welfare actually was about lifting people out of poverty and helping people with life skills that they didn't have, black people couldn't use it. It was only for white people. That's a good topic too. Because a lot of people bash welfare, and I tell people that welfare is not necessarily the problem, because you're always going to have poor people, and you need to create that safety net to help them, because anything can happen. Somebody's house could burn down. We don't want them living on the street and being homeless. But we got to remember that welfare was changed once black people were allowed to use it. Because when white people were allowed to use it, and it was only for white people, like you had social workers, but social workers actually came and did social work. They taught you how to shop, how to set up a bank account. They helped you get a job. The man didn't have to be out the house. They wanted the man in the house. They made it their business to help the man get a job. They did a whole bunch of things. The projects was supposed to be like a launching pad. You stay in the projects for a little while, get your paper up, and then we're going to help you get a house. It wasn't meant to be. It was meant for temporary, like all the things that, it's like basically the direct opposite of what we know about welfare, the projects, and all that shit today. It was the direct opposite when only white people could use it. And I would be interested in having a bill about that. But not just about Reconstruction, about how it ties into everything else that happened throughout that century. That'll be a great bill. That could be like a series. We could start with Reconstruction and work our way all the way up to today, or to the Civil Rights era.
Man, you definitely well versed in And this subject, man, we definitely need to set something up. And I got another brother that's willing to come on and demonstrate a PowerPoint that he put together for his students, because you know he's a teacher. We call him Brother Rob, the educator. So I would love to get both of y'all brothers on here and go into some history, man, especially about the Reconstruction period, man, because there's a lot of stuff, you know, I need to relearn, you know, and to learn too, because they teach you about the Reconstruction period in school, but they don't go into depth like how you just did. And I'm pretty sure Brother Rob could go in on it too. So we definitely gonna chop it up about that, bro. And you know, only if you up to doing that, you know.
Yeah, I'm up to doing that. I'm up to doing that. But I gotta go right now. You know, it's kind of late, and I'm happy for this build. Thank you for having me on. You know, peace to the chat, peace everybody, and I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate you, bro.
Peace,
Peace.
peace.
So y'all heard it, brother and sisters. That was the good brother Haven Bullets. I appreciate him for coming on, man. He must have been reading my mind because I was getting ready to end this show too. We at the 2 hour mark, so I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. I feel like this was a great interview. Brother Rob hit me up in the email, and we'll chop it up about that. So shout out to everybody in the chat, and if you like this, if you love the show and you can donate, all you gotta do is hit this link right here in the chat, and it'll be very much appreciated. I'm gonna shout out everybody, and then we gonna close out. Shout out to my brother Chef JT. Shout out to my sister Black Beauty. Shout out to my brother Rob, the educator. Shout out to the brother Kelvin Moore. Shout out to Jalen. Shout out to my brother Uncle Shug. Shout out, let's see who else up in here. Shout out to Reign Supreme. Shout out to Surfing Tangents. Shout out to Pretty Black. Welcome to Sheep Stay Sleep. Shout out to John Aristotle. Welcome to Sheep Stay Sleep. I appreciate it. Shout out to Ty Brown. Shout out to Soul Alchemy. Shout out to Bin Laden. Shout out to my big brother Nehemiah Israel. Shout out to Solomon Mom Evans. Shout out to Derek Prince. Let's see who else. Shout out to Living Soul Journey. Shout out to my brother Doug. That's looking like that's about it, man. And shout out to everybody, and shout out to everybody that's watching, that's not commenting. Shout out to everybody who hit the like button and who hit the dislike button. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Y'all haven't done so yet, subscribe, hit that like button and share. Y'all have a good day tomorrow. I appreciate all the love and support here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. I'll catch y'all on the next one, y'all. Peace.